Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome to Q&A number 2. It's been a while since I'd made the last one of these. I think I made it in like 2015 or something ridiculous like that, but I remember really enjoying answering you guys' questions in video form, and I thought, hey, why not do it again? Like last time, I went on Facebook, I put out an announcement to let you guys know to put forward questions, and now I'll try to answer as many as I can. But first, before I begin this Q&A session, I wanted to announce two things. First of all, is that the new viewer poll is up. This is where you guys can have your say as to what movie review I do next. So click the link in the description and that'll take you to a straw poll, and then you guys can have your say through a whole selection of films that I've selected, of which have all been hotly requested by you guys, and some of which I personally would like to do, but we'll see if you guys agree with those. And yeah, Iron Man is on this viewer poll, and for the million people who have been requesting me to do more Spider-Man reviews, if you want me to do more Spider-Man movie reviews, vote for Iron Man, because Homecoming is part of the MCU and I've got to make my way through all the MCU movies first. So if you want me to do more Spider-Man, vote for Iron Man. Now, the second thing I wanted to announce was a quick change to my Patreon page. Much love to all you guys who support me over there, but I really would love it if I got more support on there, because Patreon is very consistent in terms of how my show can be funded, and the more guys that support me over there, the more I can focus on making YouTube videos. And I've added a couple of new perks, and I've added some more tiers as well. So far I only had a $1 tier, but so many of you guys have been so generous with your contributions, and I wanted to give a little bit more to my top supporters. If you're interested, whether you're an existing Patreon and you want to find out what the new tiers are, or whether you're somebody who is simply interested in becoming a patron, as always, link is in the description to my Patreon page. So without further ado, let's finally get on with some bloody questions. What are your thoughts on the Fantastic Beast films, and would you ever review them? Okay, so I've actually only ever seen the Fantastic Beasts films once each. I've never really felt much oomph, I guess, to watch them again. The first one was pretty good. I remember quite enjoying the first film. I actually saw that in the cinema. I went with my brother and a friend of his. I wouldn't say it was as good as the Harry Potter films, but it was still enjoyable enough. But the second movie, Crimes of Grindelwald, was a bloody mess. It was easily the worst film in the Harry Potter universe, yeah, easily. It was just so hard to follow. It was just so muddled, and it didn't, I couldn't really follow. It was, nah, it doesn't give me much hope for the future of the franchise. But yeah, first one was pretty good. Second one was poo. But Fantastic Beasts will be on the next viewer poll if you guys would like to hear some more in-depth thoughts of that. So if you want me to review that, go ahead and vote for it. What were your thoughts on seasons 6 to 8 on Game of Thrones? I'd love to hear your hot take. Plus, have you read the Song of Ice and Fire books? I've not read the books, but I have seen all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones now. And yeah, I love Game of Thrones, but seasons 6 to 8 is where the quality did dip a bit. I think the quality started to dip more like season 5, especially with like the Dawn storyline. But season 6 and 7, they had faults, but they were still enjoyable. Season 8, with episodes 1 and 2 of season 8, they were fantastic. I love watching those, lots of great character moments and interactions. But episode 3 came around, and then that's when it all went to crap. Characters just did things that were completely out of character. You had the Night King and Cersei, all these threats, and they had literally 4 episodes to wrap it up in. Nobody could have done that justice. All these seasons of build-up, and then they only gave themselves 4 episodes to wrap it up with. It was ridiculous. There's obviously what they did to Dany as well that was completely out of character, if you ask me. I don't know if anybody even is a defender of season 8 of Game of Thrones. I think it's genuinely agreed that it was a disappointment. Yeah, wasn't a fan like many others. Maybe they could retcon it and do like a season 9. I don't know how they would do that, but you know, it's possible, I guess. And there was that petition, wasn't there, to remake the whole damn thing, like with The Last Jedi as well. I was thinking to myself, actually, has that ever happened before? Has a petition like that ever been successful and they've actually remade something? I mean, like there was the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer, and then the fans had the outcry with how bad the design was, and then they've actually managed to change their minds on that. So there was that. But in terms of remaking something, I mean, the only thing I can think of is Full Metal Alchemist. But, you know, the first Full Metal Alchemist was still really good. I guess it was remade to stay closer to the manga. So yeah, season 6 and 7, still pretty good. Season 8, poo. Will you ever consider doing a video on your tips and tricks on editing? Would love to learn how you do things. I have thought about doing like behind the scenes things, like in terms of showing how I make cinema sings videos and maybe like a behind the scenes look into how I make a movie review. But in terms of outright tutorials and video editing, I'm probably not your guy. There's just tons and tons of fantastic tutorials on YouTube, but I don't think I can really add much to it. I guess my biggest advice when it comes to video editing is just practice, practice, practice. You learn the basics and then everything else is just sort of self-taught, and you think to yourself, oh, I want to do that one thing. And then you just search on YouTube, and then you find like this 10-year-old kid who teaches you how to do it. It's the world we live in, but it's surprisingly effective. So yeah, no tutorials from me, but I do plan to do some behind the scenes stuff eventually. Who was your inspiration to do movie reviews? Oh, easily Nostalgia Critic. I remember it was back in 2008, 2009, something like that. I was just chilling in my room one day, and then my brother comes in and he shows me this video of this guy who was doing this review of this old crappy accessory for the NES that took the form of a glove, and then you would use the glove to control the game. And that video was the Angry Video Game Nerds review of the Power Glove, and I remember that being the very first AVGN episode I ever saw. And then it was obviously through the AVGN I found out about Nostalgia Critic, and I just loved the format that those guys had, and I just wanted to do that myself. I mean, they've inspired like so many different other internet reviewers out there. AVGN and Nostalgia Critic are like the godfathers, I guess, of internet reviewing. And yeah, like many others, I was inspired by them to do my own stuff. So yeah, I got a lot to thank them for. Have you thought about doing a review for Back to the Future? Oh, definitely, yeah. Back to the Future is one film franchise that I would eventually like to do. I'll tell you what, I'll put it on the next viewer poll, and then if you guys would like me to review Back to the Future, then I will go ahead and gladly abide. What is your favorite and least favorite videos you have made, and why? That's a pretty good question, actually. I've done so many over the years. In terms of reviews, I probably would say my Spider-Man 2 review, because I think that was really the review where I really started to hit my stride, where the jokes went from kind of funny and then sort of like gut busters. I remember I had a couple of friends come over one day to watch my Spider-Man 2 review, and it was like the giddiest thing ever to sort of see their reactions. The big fan favorite bit, I think, from the Spider-Man 2 review was the boo get your tits out bit, and I remember just them guffawing at that, and that was like the best feeling ever. That's why being a comedian is fantastic. There's just no better feeling than just watching somebody piss themselves laughing. In terms of mashups, I probably would say the Lord of the Rings Suicide Squad style mashup. What are we waiting for? I was really proud with that one, and I really liked the way it turned out, and it did really well view-wise. Sadly, I had to take it down for copyright issues, and I had to re-upload it, but yeah. But in terms of mashups, that's probably my favorite. Least favorite, probably my very first movie review for the Philosopher's Stone. That is really, really pretty bad. A lot of really poor attempts at comedy. The top 10 Star Wars video about what they did wrong, there was a lot of things I screwed up with that, and the like to dislike ratio certainly shows that. It was a learning experience, at least, and it was annoying because that particular video did so well view-wise. I do wish I could redo that video, go back in time, but it's weird because a lot of you guys probably found out about me through that video, so there is that at least. What do you do for work outside of making these wonderful YouTube videos? So I'm a freelance video editor, so any kind of editing work that comes my way, YouTube is almost there in terms of me being able to make it full-time through things like sponsorships and things. And I would like to introduce things like merchandise to help out with that as well, so look out for that. What's your opinion on the whole change the channel awesome situation? I thought I might actually get asked this question. So yeah, for those who don't know, Channel Awesome was, well, rather still is, a website that hosts internet reviewers. It's the home of Nostalgia Critic, aka my biggest inspiration to start movie reviews. Back in the early 2010s, it was the premier website for internet reviewers, because with YouTube, there was just a whole bunch of copyright stuff going on that wasn't very, very kind to critics. It's a lot better now, but back then it was impossible to monetize and make money off internet reviews, and Channel Awesome was pretty much like the only option you had. It hosted like a whole bunch of very talented reviewers like Angry Joe and Spoonie and Linkara and Todd in the Shadows and Lindsay Ellis. There was also the anniversary specials they would do where they would get together every year to film a funny little film together. And for the longest time, I always wanted to be part of the site because I thought it just looked like a ton of fun. But unfortunately, it was about a few years back now when news came to light about all the allegations that went up against the Channel Awesome higher ups, namely this Mike Michaud guy who's like the CEO of the company, who's apparently a right douchebag. Mostly it was the female members who put together a whole document of all the different shit that happened at the site. As a result, everyone left the site because they didn't want to be associated with that. It was kind of annoying to me because, you know, with nostalgia credit being such a big influence, I like to think that Doug Walker and Rob Walker weren't the guys at fault. It was this Mike Michaud guy who was the dickbag and all this. I personally don't know them, so it's really hard to say who is the one at fault here. Yeah. And it's weird for me because about like a year prior to all this going down, Channel Awesome hosted a talent pickup where different internet reviewers could post their own content to the site, and then they might get picked up and get featured on the website. And naturally, me being a huge Nostalgia Critic fan, I went ahead and I submitted, me thinking that I was assuring because Doug Walker himself had shared some of my mashups on his Facebook page, and I was like, oh my god, you know, if Doug Walker himself likes my videos, then I'm sure as hell I'm gonna get in. And then it turns out that I didn't. I was sort of like semi-happy because Ilnedge got in and I was really happy for him. About a year later, then all this shit went down and everyone started to leave the site. If it had been up to me whether I had left the site as well, I probably would have left the site too, simply because I wouldn't want to be associated with it all. But again, it's hard to say if it was Doug Walker who was the guy at fault or whether it was the higher-ups. Again, who's to say? I don't personally know him, so yeah. It's a tricky situation. What, in your opinion, is your best/funniest review? That is really hard to say because it's really kind of hard to judge your own comedy. Again, probably Spider-Man 2, simply because it was like the turning point for me, I think. In terms of more recent reviews, it's really difficult to say. Maybe my most recent one. I really don't know. Let me know in the comments, actually, what you guys think is my funniest review, because it's really hard to judge your own work. Have you ever played Dying Light? What did you think of it? Are you excited to play Dying Light 2 coming out soon? I did play Dying Light. I was actually originally planning on reviewing it, but for some reason I kind of lost track on it. I think I kind of gave up after about 10 hours of playing. I mean, it was a really cool idea. It's sort of like zombie games meets Mirror's Edge, I guess. I had a lot of fun with it, but after about 10 hours playing, it just kind of got worn a little thin and it kind of got a bit samey. So, yeah. I think I'll check out Dying Light 2 to see if it gets any better, but yeah, here's hoping. What did you think of The Last Jedi and Solo? Okay, so Last Jedi was probably, for me personally, the worst Star Wars film. I probably would watch Attack of the Clones over Last Jedi. With Attack of the Clones, at least it has like those really cool sort of like geek out moments, like when all the Jedi rush into the Geonosis arena and go to town, and it does have lightsaber duels as well. And for Last Jedi, my biggest problem with it is that it simply just didn't really feel like a Star Wars movie. It didn't want to stoop so low as to put fan service in there. The movie is severely lacking fan service, and fan service gets a lot of crap, doesn't it? Fan service can be utterly fantastic, like in Avengers Endgame. Spoiler alert for Avengers Endgame. If you want to skip this, go ahead. But, you know, I should imagine most people have seen it by now. But yeah, with Avengers Endgame, there was the bit when Captain America finally wields Mjolnir and then he freaking pulls it back and he's like, Avengers, assemble. And then they all freaking go at it. That is the epitome of fan service, but it's amazing and it's awesome. Because, you know, that's what the fans wanted to see. And when you talk about the Star Wars sequels, what did fans want to see? You know, we wanted to see Luke kick ass. We wanted to see Leia as a Jedi. We wanted to see Han Solo back to his old antics. And there's just kind of nothing really like that with these movies. It's just being afraid to give the fans what they really want. As for Solo was good. I did enjoy Solo more than Last Jedi, at least. Solo was actually one of the few films I saw in the cinema recently. And I remember they gave me like trading cards at the screening for some reason. I would like to see a sequel to Solo. I don't know if they are planning on doing one. Obviously, with the reveal at the end, you guys know who I'm on about. We got to see what comes of that, I think. So hopefully they do a Solo too. Would you ever consider reviewing a Tom Cruise movie sometime in the future? Oh yeah, definitely. A Tom Cruise films would be a lot of fun to do. I probably would just do Mission Impossible. I could do Top Gun. Top Gun would be a lot of fun to do. I think there's a lot of 80s cheese in that you could make fun of. But Mission Impossible, I think, would be my priority in terms of Tom Cruise movies. What are your thoughts on the Mass Effect trilogy? I've noticed their polarizing nature lately, and not just because of the ending. Yeah, because the ending is pretty pretty atrocious. It's crazy actually, because with Mass Effect, I've never actually played the first one, because when the game came out, it was originally an Xbox 360 exclusive, and it was only when Mass Effect 2 came out that it got a PS3 release, and at the time I only had a PS3, I didn't have a 360. So I played Mass Effect 2 and 3. Mass Effect 2 was like seriously one of the best video games of all time. I love Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 3 is still really good. Mass Effect Andromeda actually was really panned. Never played it because I heard about how panned it was. I've heard maybe it might get better with patches, who knows. But yeah, I would still recommend people play Mass Effect 2 and 3. It is still really good, just that ending is just poo. But I've heard good things about the DLC for it. I think it was called like the Citadel or something. So I might have to go back and play that sometime. You got any death sticks? How much you're offering? Hey, get out of there! Oh, shit. Moron. Favorite MCU movie so far? There's just so many good ones. I remember absolutely loving the shit out of Thor Ragnarok. Like, Taika Waititi completely turned Thor around. Like, Thor went from one of the less popular Avengers to like one of the most popular ones now. So Thor Ragnarok, probably my favorite. I hope to see more from Taika. Are you going to review any Ridley Scott films such as Blade Runner or Gladiator? Blade Runner, probably not. It's not the kind of film that I think would suit well with my style. Gladiator, maybe. It's just the thing with these movie reviews is that they take so long to make, and my to-do list is so long, so it probably will take me years before I can ever get to them. Yeah, I guess I'll put them on the never-ending to-do list. Gladiator anyway, not so much Blade Runner. Would you be reviewing Avengers Endgame or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse anytime soon? Into the Spider-Verse I might do, because that's actually not part of the MCU, so it might be a Spider-Man movie I can do actually before Homecoming. Avengers Endgame is part of the MCU, so I've got all the other movies to do up until it, but yeah, I do plan to do it eventually. Would you ever consider doing a meet and greet with fans / a film review on the Avenger movies? Again, MCU, I would like to do, and doing a meet and greet with you guys. I would absolutely love to meet you guys. If you ever see me in public, I demand that you say hi. Please, please, please say hello, because I would love to meet more of you guys, because I've only actually been recognized twice, maybe 3 times. First time I actually got recognized was a guy in Edinburgh. Unfortunately, he didn't recognize me at the time. He took to Twitter later, and then he thought he saw me, and then it turned out he did, and yeah, we didn't actually get to say hello, and I was like, oh. Then I was in Morrison's, which was a supermarket chain here in the UK, and the guy behind the till recognized me, and that was amazing. Here's a picture actually of us meeting, and that was officially my very first fan encounter, and that was amazing. So yeah, thank you very much, Harry, for recognizing me. And I might have been recognized a 3rd time, because I was actually in McDonald's once, and my brother pointed out to me that there was this kid who was pointing at me all excitedly. He may have been recognized me, I don't know. If you happen to be a kid who thought you recognized me in the McDonald's parking lot in Anik, please let me know, because I would have liked to have said hello. But yeah, in terms of like meet and greets though, I probably would go to like a convention or something like that. If I see a convention that's nearby me, I'll announce on Facebook and Twitter and everything that I'm going, and then let's see if we can meet some of you guys, because that would be amazing. What are your opinions on the Disney Star Wars films, and what are your expectations for episode 9? Yeah, so episode 7 was fantastic. I think it could have been better, and there was the problems of it being a bit too familiar to A New Hope. Yet another bloody Death Star and things like that. But hey, it gave us a cool lightsaber fight. It gave us fun new characters. Yeah, and Last Jedi, as I said, was poo. The thing with Last Jedi is that it didn't exactly give you much excitement for episode 9 because it doesn't exactly lead to anything, you know, like episode 5 to episode 6 did. It gave you something to be excited about, whereas with episode 8 to 9, it's like, so what? It's like it just doesn't really matter anymore. But then again, the trailer for episode 9 came out and that rekindled some hope, especially with them bringing back the Emperor somehow, who, as you guys might know, is my favorite Star Wars character. So I don't know how they're going to bring him back, but we'll see. I'm excited for episode 9, but episode 8 has left me more cautiously optimistic. Where did you learn to edit? Okay, so that was in college when I was about 17 to 18 years old. I learned the basics. The very first editing software I used was iMovie on Macs, and then we moved to Premiere Pro, which was much more advanced. But yeah, that was the bare basics, and 99% of everything that I've learned in Premiere Pro is all self-taught. Who do you think is the best live-action Spider-Man? Toby, Tom, or Andrew? Also, just wanted to say I love all your videos and they never fail to make me laugh. Keep up the amazing work. Well, thank you very much. In terms of the best live-action Spider-Man, that is really difficult to say because all of them have been amazing. Like Andrew Garfield, I think gets a lot of flack, and I think he's amazing as Spider-Man. And not so much as Peter Parker because he doesn't really nail that side of the character very well, but as Spider-Man, He's fantastic. I just think his films could have been a bit better. Toby, of course, is classic, and Tom Holland, has really owned this new, younger version of Spider-Man, and he's been utterly fantastic. So it's so difficult to say which is the best of the three because I think they're all pretty evenly matched as well. I mean, in terms of the movie quality themselves, Andrew Garfield is clearly the worst, but in terms of his performance himself, I think he's up there with Holland and Maguire. I'm going to be naughty and just say all three of them are equally good. I can't make my mind up. Do you still have that lovely owl from your Spider-Man review safe? Oh, he's back there, but if he does anything annoying, I'm going to pummel the crap out of him. What did you think of Spectre, and how do you feel about the upcoming Bond 25, considering we've heard nothing but bad news? Has there been bad news of Bond 25? Oh, I haven't really been following it all too well. I think it's taken a little while to come out, I guess. Spectre, though, was Craig's worst film. It was okay, but I mean, compared to Skyfall and Casino Royale, it just didn't compare. It was kind of more on par with Quantum of Solace. I think even Quantum of Solace was a bit better. But I have faith that the new one's going to be good. I hope that Craig goes out on a high note because he needs another good film to balance out the bad ones, I think. Hi Ross, what TV shows are you watching? I watch quite a lot of TV shows right now. I got like a list I'm looking at right here. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, I absolutely love. South Park, I still really enjoy. Star Wars Resistance, that was like a new animated Star Wars show. I decided to give it a watch, not thinking much of it, but I remember really enjoying it. It's a kid's show, so go into it expecting that. But, you know, apart from that, it's still pretty good. It's maybe not quite as good as Star Wars Rebels or the Clone Wars even, but I've still really been enjoying it. My Hero Academia is absolutely amazing. After Game of Thrones ended, and especially with season 8 being so crap, My Hero Academia is now my all-time favorite new TV show. Love that show. I can't wait for more. The Patriot Act with Hassan Minhaj. Hassan Minhaj was on The Daily Show and now he's doing like a John Oliver-esque kind of like show. These are on YouTube and they're a lot of fun to watch. Highly recommend that. Attack on Titan, as always, has been amazing. I can't wait for season 4. And Rick and Morty as well. Again, I can't wait for more. Love that show. Given where the MCU is at this point, what do you hope for the future of it, and which upcoming projects are you looking forward to the most right now? So there was a whole bunch of different movies announced in the MCU. There's going to be a new Blade movie. Mahershala Ali as Blade is just like, I love that casting. I can't wait to see that. In terms of like other ones, there's a Shang-Chi movie coming out, a whole bunch of different IPs I've not really heard much of before, so who's to say? But the MCU has been amazing so far, and I have confidence it'll continue to be amazing. There's a new Thor movie coming out where they're going to get Natalie Portman to be the female Thor, I guess, and that'll be kind of interesting to see. There's so many coming out, I simply can't choose one here. Before I ask my question, thank you for being one of my inspirations for becoming a YouTuber. Thank you very much. Will we ever be getting another James Bond film review? Yeah, so I reviewed Die Another Day and Casino Royale many years ago now, and I have thought about doing more. I'd love to do a Roger Moore one because I think that would be a lot of fun to do. I'd probably do Moonraker. I'll add another Bond film on the next viewer poll. You guys can vote for that if that's what you want to see. Can you start doing ranking videos? I just have a feeling that you would rank movie series like Star Wars and Harry Potter a little bit different than other people. I could do that, I suppose. The Harry Potter movies, again, is like, my opinion of it is different. Everyone says that Prisoner of Azkaban is the best Harry Potter movie, but I prefer Chamber of Secrets. Christopher Columbus's style, I think, really suited the Harry Potter aesthetic the most, and then when Alfonso Cuarón came along and they made it a lot darker and more morbid, and I love those movies still, but I much prefer the warmth and the happiness, I guess you could say, of the first two movies. In terms of Star Wars movies, I did say in my Revenge of the Sith review that Revenge of the Sith just narrowly is better than Phantom Menace, but I actually might like Phantom Menace even a little bit more now. I always go back and forth between 1 and 3, and it's always everyone's opinion that 3 is vastly better than 1, and I don't think that. I think they're kind of more equally matched, I think. So yeah, I might do that. We'll see. Do you ever plan to review any other Star Wars movies, the originals, sequels, and anthologies? Do you also plan on continuing the Indiana Jones series? Yes, yes, and yes. All Star Wars movies I plan to review. Apart from the Clone Wars animated movie, no plans on reviewing that. Also, Star Wars Holiday Special, and there was a couple of those Ewok movies as well. I don't plan on reviewing those. But yeah, Indiana Jones, I'd like to continue as well. Temple of Doom will be on the viewer poll after the next one, so look out for that. What editing program do you use for your videos, and how do you make the CinemaSins videos? So, video editor is Adobe Premiere Pro, and CinemaSins is created using a site called getyarn.io. You go on that website and then you can search for any lyrics that you need, and then it'll show you a whole bunch of movie quotes where those words are said. You simply right click on the video, select save video as, and just pop it in the timeline. It's really that simple. It's weird because I get a lot of people saying, oh my god, you've got no life, how long did this take you to make? But that site makes these videos so simple to put together. So if you want to make your own CinemaSins, getyarn.io. If you could have one Pokemon, which one would it be? And or if you were a Pokemon, which one do you think you would be? In terms of Pokemon, I would be probably Abra because I sleep like no other person on the planet. I seriously have huge problems with keeping a consistent sleep schedule. In terms of Pokemon, I would have Abra. I would have Abra as well because Abra can teleport, and if I can teleport, I don't know if that ability goes to somebody else. You know, when you touch Abra and then he teleports you, kind of like a port key. I don't know if that works like that, but Abra would be both the Pokemon that I would be and the Pokemon I would have because he matches my personality and he also would be super useful for getting around. What's your biggest goal on YouTube? Hit 1 million? Oh, hitting 1 million subscribers would be insane. I would love that. In terms of like biggest goal, yeah, I don't think I could go higher than that. I mean, who knows, but I don't ever plan on stopping making YouTube videos anytime soon, and I'm 27 right now, so I can see myself making YouTube videos until retirement age, and that means I'm gonna have like 30 plus years at this, and it's crazy to think because like with PewDiePie right now, he's at about 100 million subscribers, and you think to yourself, like in 30 years, how many subscribers is PewDiePie gonna be at? Is he gonna be at like 1 billion by that point? Is he gonna have a subscriber base bigger than the entire population of the planet thanks to multiple accounts? Who knows? But yeah, for me personally, if I could hit 1 million subscribers, that would be absolutely amazing, and I would have to do something special. Somebody actually suggested that I remake my very first movie review, you know, because obviously the first one's so bad and I've improved a lot since then, so hit the mic. But yeah, 1 million subscribers would be amazing, and that would be the ultimate goal, I think, for me, for now. What was your favourite part about filming the Toy Story review? Also, will you be reviewing the sequels? I will be reviewing the sequels eventually. When I filmed the Toy Story review, one thing I did that was a bit different was the bit when I did that little skit where I tried to recreate Andy in the chair, and then I went on the chair and I tipped myself over. Yeah, that was a lot of fun to do that because I'd never done like a physical comedy kind of like thing like that before. Oh no, didn't get enough momentum that time. That worked. Ow. Yeah, so that was probably my favourite bit to do. I'd like to do more live action bits like that, and that's my favourite bit of filming the Toy Story review. What are your opinions on celebrities doing voiceover work in animated films? I definitely think that it can be successful. There's definitely examples where celebrities put forward voice work for the films, and you can just tell that they just got this person just because they're a big name, and sometimes the character voices don't match. But there have been many examples where that hasn't been the case. I mean, I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head, like John Leguizamo from Ice Age. I mean, his voice is a perfect fit for Sid, and John Leguizamo obviously has a very identifiable voice, but he absolutely made Sid his own. So yeah, I mean, definitely examples where it's obviously not good and they should have just used a more of an established voice actor as opposed to a more of a live action actor, I guess. But sometimes it can work out, so totally depends. Why not just do a live Q&A? I have thought about doing a live version of this, but the problem with that is that I'm kind of terrified about saying something stupid. I mean, the good thing here with this is that I can edit it after I've done recording it, and then if I say something stupid, I can just see myself, I've said something stupid, and I can edit it out. But if it's live and it's on the internet, then it's out there forever, and that terrifies me. So I mean, I don't know, never say never. Maybe I'll do a live Q&A one day when I get more courage behind me, but as for now, I think I'm just gonna stick to doing it in this format. What advice would you give to someone who wants to do video editing professionally? Honestly, I could do with some of that advice myself. Off the top of my head, I mean, obviously, practice, practice, practice. Make sure that you're really good at editing, basically. The thing with me is that I treat video editing as a hobby, with my mashup videos and all sorts of things like that. And my YouTube channel serves as a great e-portfolio of my work as well. And people see that and then they come to me with jobs and everything. If you want to get into the actual video editing industry, that I'm completely oblivious on how to do. So I'm afraid I'm not your guy on how to give advice about that. I would just say treat video editing as a hobby, get lots of work out there, make yourself a video editing reel. That's a very good piece of advice. And yeah, just keep practicing your craft. And obviously, if you want to get into the industry, you need to use a program like Adobe Premiere Pro or Final Cut. If you use something other than those two, your chances of getting hired are probably going to be pretty slim. I don't personally know which is the best to use. I mean, I use Premiere Pro, and I've heard Final Cut's very popular as an industry standard, but the two programs are kind of similar, so you can kind of wing it a bit if you use Final Cut. Keep at it, keep practicing, get a video editing reel out there, and trying to make some contacts. Again, I'm really not the person to really advise you on how to get into the industry. Just I wish you the best, man. Any interest in reviewing the DCEU? Oh, definitely, yeah. The MCU would be my priority first, though, but the DCEU is obviously the quality of those films aren't quite as good as the MCU, so it offers the ability to be a bit more critical in the reviews. That's not to say the DCEU is bad. I mean, the films in the DCEU I have at least semi-enjoyed, and you've obviously got ones like Wonder Woman that were pretty good. I'll put the DCEU on the old never-ending to-do list too. Do you think Pierce Brosnan should have done more Bond movies? I'm assuming you're asking me this one because I actually made that trailer mashup where I put Pierce Brosnan into the Spectre trailer. And yeah, I personally would have liked to have seen him maybe do at least one more, because Die Another Day wasn't the best Bond film out there, and it would have been nice to see him go out on a high. Because Pierce Brosnan, if you didn't know, is my personal favourite James Bond. Actually, I recently just thought about this. I think out of all the Bonds, maybe Pierce Brosnan's actually the least misogynistic, along with Timothy Dalton maybe, because my brother's currently going back to watch all the older Bond films with Connery and Moore, and the scenes with the women and the way the Bond girls act in those films, it's horrifically dated and kind of cringeworthy, honestly. And even with Daniel Craig, I mean, there was that bit in Spectre when he frigging tries to seduce one lady that was involved in like a sex trafficking thing. I think that was in Skyfall. And then there was Monica Bellucci's character in Spectre, and she was like a recent widow, and then Bond seducing her. It's like, holy shit. But with Brosnan's films, the Bond girls are a bit more self-independent, a bit more badass, and Brosnan doesn't act like a total creep when they're around, I don't think. So that's probably why Brosnan's my favourite Bond. So yeah, I would have loved to have seen Brosnan do another Bond film, but I mean, I think Brosnan was set to do another Bond film, if memory serves me correctly, but something happened with his contracts maybe or something, I don't quite know, but yeah, I would have liked to have seen another one, but oh well. Who are your top 5 superheroes? Holy crap, that's going to take a while. I mean, Spider-Man, probably, obviously. I'd probably put Deadpool up there because I love that character. Maybe Quicksilver from the recent X-Men movies. I love his portrayal. Iron Man, I would definitely put up there because he completely turned around Marvel films and obviously gave us the MCU we know and love today. And to wrap it up, probably Daredevil would be number 5 because I love the Netflix show so much and I was really disappointed when they cancelled that. I'm hoping maybe Cox's character can show up somewhere in the MCU one day because that would be amazing. If you were stuck on an island for 1 year with one movie and one video game, any system with Wi-Fi included, if online, what would you pick? For one movie, I would probably say 12 Angry Men because it is my favourite film of all time. For video game, I would have to choose, obviously, a game that had a lot of sustainability and obviously online play because then that would allow me to play with other people. Probably something like Grand Theft Auto 5 because it's just so varied and it's like a whole million different games in one, that almost. And I think that would keep me pretty occupied. So I would say Grand Theft Auto 5 on PS4 Pro, why not? Who would win in a battle between Voldemort, Sauron, and Darth Vader? If we were going by Rogue One, Darth Vader, probably him because he was ungodly terrifying in that movie. Depends what version of Sauron you're on about, because if he's a big flaming gaping eyeball in the sky, then he doesn't really stand much of a chance. I would probably say Voldemort simply because Avada Kedavra is just so overpowered. I mean, I made the joke actually in I think it was my Order of the Phoenix review where I was like, Avada Kedavra, Avada Kedavra, Avada Kedavra. You know, it's just instant how they kill people. I would have liked to have seen it in one of the Harry Potter movies if they maybe had shown some sort of restriction to Avada Kedavra because it's just so incredibly overpowered. And whenever I see dark wizards dueling in the Harry Potter films, why didn't they just yell Avada Kedavra all the time? And Voldemort does love his Avada Kedavra. Avada Kedavra! Yeah, so definitely Voldemort, I would say. Even though I personally would probably want to see Vader win because, you know, lightsabers. Do you plan to live stream anytime in the future? I have thought about doing kind of like a live streaming thing. I've been getting a few people saying, oh, you should start like Let's Plays or do like a Twitch channel and that sort of thing. But I think I just run out of things to say really, really quickly. I'm kind of hopeless without a script. I mean, as you will notice in this Q&A session about how many cuts that I'm making when I speak, and that's usually to cut out any dead area when I'm trying to think about what to say. So yeah, maybe I'll do more videos like this, just talking off the top of my head, and if I get a bit more confidence behind me, I might do it in the future because people do love their Twitch these days. As for now, I have no plans on doing it. Sorry. As a Mexican fan of yours, it would be nice to know if you've seen any Mexican film, Roma for example, and if so, what's your take on foreign Hispanic American cinema? Greetings and keep up the great work. Gotta say I love your reviews and their top-notch quality. Muchas gracias. So with Mexican films or Spanish language cinema in general, I'm actually really far behind. In terms of Mexican film directors, the only two I can name off the top of my head are Guillermo del Toro and Alfonso Cuarón, but that's mostly because they've done a lot of English language films. Del Toro did Pan's Labyrinth, and I've seen that, and that's great. Roma you mentioned, but I've not seen that. I'm actually going to Google this right now to see how many Mexican films I've actually seen. Yeah, I'm pretty hopeless on this. I mean, again, Pan's Labyrinth I've seen. Babel I saw once like years ago. Can't remember anything about it though. I have seen some Spanish language films. One of which that I saw that I thought was fantastic was The Sea Inside with Javier Bardem. But yeah, I'm seriously behind. I need to catch up with more. I think I'll check out Roma because it got a lot of Oscar buzz, and I'm interested to see it simply because Alfonso Cuarón directed it, and he obviously did Prisoner of Azkaban and the excellent Gravity. I'm afraid to say Mexican films are something I'm not too knowledgeable about, but I'll try to rectify that. What's your favourite Western? Also been a fan since 2013. Wow, thank you for sticking around for so long. That's crazy how long I see people stick around for. Thank you very much. In terms of Westerns, I actually don't watch a lot, but off the top of my head, I would probably call out The Magnificent Seven as my favourite of all time. Unless you let me count Blazing Saddles, because Blazing Saddles is all time one of the funniest films for me. I quote that movie all the time, if you count that. What are your thoughts on Stranger Things Season 3? Also, Stranger Things has been fantastic. Actually, I got asked a question about what TV shows I watched and I completely forgot all about Stranger Things. It's been utterly fantastic. Season 3, I think some people kind of bashed on it a bit too much. I remember seeing Jeremy John's review of Season 3 and he didn't seem that impressed, but I absolutely loved it. The CGI in the show has gotten so much better. The characters are all super lovable. I love how they give characters like Steve a lot more to do because Steve's probably my favourite character. And it's really, really intense as well, but it's not afraid to have those smaller character moments. There's also more minor characters like that Russian guy, and obviously what happened to him was really hit you there. Yeah, I mean, season 3 was utterly fantastic. Can't wait for season 4. What do you think is the biggest missed opportunity in terms of casting? Off the top of my head, maybe Ghost in the Shell, because that's not to say that Scarlett Johansson was bad in the role. She was actually pretty decent. Obviously, there was the whole controversy with the whole whitewashing thing, and it would have been really cool to see an Asian lead. An actress like Rinko Kikuchi from Pacific Rim maybe would have been good, or Rila Fukushima, or Ming-Na Wen even maybe would have been kind of cool to see. In terms of other examples I can think of, I remember there was that rumor that Idris Elba was going to play a new James Bond, and that would have been really cool to see, but I think that the man himself said he wasn't interested, so that would have been really awesome. Plenty of missed opportunities, but those are the ones I can think about off the top of my head. What is a film that you hate that everyone else loves, and vice versa? I think I actually got asked this question on my last Q&A, funnily enough. Off the top of my head, in terms of films that I liked that everyone else hated, I would probably point out Chappie. I loved that movie, and I was kind of shocked to see that every review I saw of it was completely negative. I think it was The Antwoord that was a turn-off for a lot of people, but I remember really loving it. In terms of films that I don't personally like, but everyone else did, there's a lot of like classic films, mostly in the IMDb top 250, that I watched and liked, but wasn't blown away by them because, you know, you go into them with such high expectations. It's something like even like The Godfather. Everyone raves about that movie, and I watched it and I was like, I don't really get why it's regarded as the greatest film of all time.
I did not care for The Godfather.
What?
I mean, The Shawshank Redemption is regarded as the greatest film of all time in the IMDb top 250, but I'm fine with that. I still really like that movie. And 12 Angry Men, my favourite movie of all time, is at number 5, so ecstatic about that one. I remember watching Goodfellas as well, wasn't enamored with it. I think the reason being is that with films like those gangster films is that, for me personally, because I'm stupid, the movie that I watch has to have a likable lead, because if the lead isn't likable, I don't care about that character, and therefore I don't care what happens to them. And all the characters in these gangster films are all douchebags, so I don't care what happens to them. Probably the wrong viewpoint to have, but I can't help myself. I have to like the main character, otherwise, yeah. So yeah, those are my films that I think are overrated and underrated. Please don't kill me. Well, guys, I think I've covered about as many questions as I can. I tried to answer as many as I could, but unfortunately there were many that I couldn't get around to. So apologies if I didn't get around to your question. If you'd like me to answer a question that I didn't get around to, then please send me a Facebook message or something like that, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. So again, thank you very much for watching, guys. Be sure to vote below in the viewer poll, and I shall see you in the next one. Peace out.